Guy in last week who had his medicine taken from by Scottsdale Police Department. Did just happened not to have his card with him at the time, but he was a valid registered qualifying patient. And so they took his marijuana. He then produced that documentation. Of course, no criminal charges for possession of marijuana were filed. He produced his card to the agency, and they literally laughed at him. It was actually over the phone that he had this conversation with someone at the Scottsdale Police Department who laughed at him and said, "You're never going to get that marijuana back." Laughed at him and hung up the phone. And this was after he had talked to them about the State v. Oken decision. Are you not familiar with that? I'd be happy to fax over a copy of the opinion. All he did was laugh at him and told him, "You're never going to get that back," and hung up on him. So law enforcement is already, almost, ignoring the law, which in the state of Arizona right now, the law is that marijuana has to be returned. The Scottsdale Police Department is saying that they're going to destroy it on their own, even if you produce evidence, and that's exactly what our certain members of our state legislature would like to authorize them doing. But they're already going out on their own and having internal police policy that they're going to do it regardless. So that kind of leads us to the next big question, which is, okay, well, if you take my cell phone and then you destroy it, you need to compensate me for that. Have anyone ever heard that a clause of the United States Constitution called the Takings Clause? This is where it says that, or if any of you ever heard of the phrase eminent domain, where they come and they say, well, we're building a freeway project, and so we need to take your house. We're going to take your house and demolish it for a freeway. The government has the power to do that, to take personal property, but always under the condition that they compensate that individual for the fair market value of what that was. Now, if it's a gram of marijuana, that fair market value may not be that great, but it's the point of it, It's the point. And right now it's a little tricky because technically in the government's eyes there's no legal way to buy marijuana unless you've got it from your caregiver, and you paid actual cost. But once dispensaries get rolling, it'll be easy to say, yeah, I purchased that marijuana legally from a registered dispensary, and it cost me this much money. Cough up the check. And they will have to do that. That's constitutionally required. That's your property. Now, what if it's like a 72 plant grow? And how much did it cost to produce all that? I mean, literally, if they engage in this I don't think they've really thought this through that far, but if the legislature authorizes the destruction of personal property, then I got news for them, they're going to be paying for it out of their money. So I don't think they've really, if the bill fails to pass, that is probably going to be one of the main reasons why. And I think NORML it really needs to make sure that the state legislature gets word that that's what's going to be happen next. You don't get to destroy people's property and not compensate them for it. So that's an interesting issue that's coming up. When we had our first board meeting not that long ago for the new board here of Phoenix NORML, we were talking about what we could do and brainstorming a little bit about ideas for legal actions. And I want to touch upon an idea that I have that I'd like to kind of go into more detail with the board at our next meeting, but I figured I'd at least float the idea out there to you. I don't want, I know that there's a lot of people who are willing to actually go out to like a public place, in front of the Capitol and light up a marijuana, light up a joint or whatever, and get arrested and busted to bring attention to the issue. I've never liked that particular approach because I don't like the idea that someone's going to have to get in trouble unless we're going to be able to make a real impact.